Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Bitcoin has seen an explosive move to the upside and emotions have been out of control once again. So I want to discuss very quickly before heading out of town for a few days here, what's been happening here. Are my bearish theories tossed out the window at this point? Actually, not at all yet. Don't get me wrong. The bulls are answering with some strength and it is great to see. But even with that strong bounce, nothing has actually changed as far as structure and with the charts. The only thing that's actually changed is the Twitter posts, the video thumbnails, and that kind of thing. So let's actually, well, I want to dive into my 4-hour chart, but just to let you know, I did just enter a bit of a hedge short. I am also in a long position, but I'm going to talk about those positions here in a second. But just bringing up my 4-hour chart here, I want to discuss basically the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I absolutely see reasons for seeing a little bit of strength from the bulls here, and something bullish could very easily happen in this 4-hour candle in the next couple of hours here. So I want to go over a few different things here, you guys. Now, something that I want to go over very, very quickly is price action versus execution. Two very different things, which is why most people are so quick to flip-flop with their emotions. Even though I've been vocally bearish as hell lately, I am still in a long position from 59,047 US dollars. I'm able to trade against my emotions because that's what traders need to be able to do. This long does not mean I'm bullish whatsoever. I want to be clear about that. I'm personally not bullish. I am just in a long from 59,000 US dollars. It means I was able to react and protect myself and pay myself, even though the price is going against my own bias. Because the thing is, you guys, right at the level that everyone started getting bullish is exactly where I said it was going to happen in my last video on Thursday. It just happened to be my long target. Okay, guys, I really want to make that point here. I want to make it very clear. Everyone's starting to get bullish, FOMO, going nuts. I'm literally seeing $1 million Bitcoin targets in the thumbnails today. But these emotions are all happening at the level where I closed most of my long because it was my bullish target, not my bullish entry. Just like I was TPing shorts down near 59K and hedging longs there rather than entering late shorts down there. So that's the thing, right, guys? Is as far as structure goes, this signal down here, let's talk about this. Yes, it looked bearish as hell. Everybody got very bearish once we broke that level, right? But that's very normal. I talk about this in every single stream. When I'm going to zoom out in a little bit and I'll point out my zoomed out version as I do in every video. But that is just a structure break. We set a lower low because obviously we have a low, lower low. This was our confirmed lower high. Now, where are we starting to find that rejection? Or even if we don't get rejected here, guys, just notice that we are starting to struggle with the price here. To me, it does look like there's some strength here. It is nice to see that we're tapping away at resistance, right? We are coiled up against it. And this is our, we got our third touch point here. So this is either about to reject us. In my opinion, this 4-hour candle, we're either going to break this red trend line or get rejected, in my opinion. Yes, it does look to me like it could very easily break. But I hedged a short anyways, just to protect myself, basically. Because like I said, I'm already long down here. And this long was originally a hedge. Okay, I entered a short here, caught this move to the downside. And as we approached those levels down there on the 1-minute chart, I actually gave this signal to some people live. I took a hedge at these levels just because my short had done so well. Everyone was starting to flip extremely bearish. I had some indicators. My wave master indicator down here just looked like it was getting kind of bottomy. So I really just took a hedge at that level as we were kind of finding some support and as we were getting these bullish signals on the indicator. I was not bullish at this level. I was not bullish at all. I was still very bearish. I still had my short open at that point, but I was taking profits on my short and I was hedging along to protect myself, because if I was wrong and we were going to bounce, because that's very normal after you break structure, everyone always thinks that after a structure break, hey, this is bearish, it's time to short. No, this is your bearish structure. It's time to start looking for shorts, in my opinion. Yeah, sometimes you miss a breakout if that happens, but generally speaking, the market loves to chop around. It's chopping around way more than it's breaking out. And it's so normal for price action to break structure and then pull back. So everybody thinks that, we ended up pumping to the upside here, therefore it's super bullish now. I see the reasoning for it because, like I said, we are looking like we're going to break some resistance here, but resistance is resistance until it's broken. And honestly, even if we break this resistance line, I don't think we're going to go too much higher. It's just a gut feeling at this point, but no matter what happens here in this smaller range here, like I said, low, lower, low, lower, high. Therefore, where my Fibonacci's are pulled here, that's the range I'm watching, right? So if we break this trend line here, I do think we would break this range. But the thing is, we just have more resistance. No matter what happens, Bitcoin just has a ton of resistance up ahead. The only way I'm actually going to flip macro bullish is if we break the lower high, the macro lower high. Okay. So a lot of people would think, yeah, this is the lower high or this is lower high, whatever. But on a macro scale, this was our last structure break right here. When we set our 49K bottom at the start of August, that was the lower low we set. We confirmed a lower high up at 70K, and we have not broke out of that range yet. So I'm not adjusting that range yet. That's our high. That's our low. So we are still in a downtrend, even if we end up breaking out of this. Yes, it's absolutely possible it gets invalidated this time. We've had this same bearish setup now 4 times. The same swing to the downside 4 times. We just break structure to the downside, pull back to the 786, 886, get a lower low, pull back to the 786, 886, set a lower low, pull back to the 786. Haven't quite hit the 886 yet. So that's another reason why I think we could go a little bit higher. I personally think if we break this resistance that we're fighting with right now, I think that we would end up pumping up towards 65.5, even 67.5. I think it makes a lot of sense because that is still my macro resistance. Even beyond that, yes, the lower high that I'm watching is still technically 70K. It's just that so often if a trend's going to continue, that 786, 886 kind of front runs that structure point. So I would be looking at, some sort of a lower high in this area. However, it obviously, just how I'm going over structure here, it would not actually be a confirmed lower high until we set another lower low. And again, if we set another lower low, yeah, it absolutely makes sense that we would end up getting a bounce. People get bullish right into that 786, 886 again, just like I've been saying over and over. And yeah, it's absolutely possible that trend breaks this time. Haha, Stu, you were wrong. Yeah, but you know what? I caught the last 4 of these. And it's just very basic market structure, in my opinion. So yes, I understand the bulls look strong right now. They are, to me as well, right? They're looking strong as we're tapping away at this resistance. But the thing is, the chart hasn't changed yet. Once the chart changes, I'm totally open to the idea of flipping my opinion. It just hasn't happened yet. All Bitcoin has to do is break a lower high structure, which unfortunately is way up here still. That's when I'll flip bullish. And I want to be clear about this, right? Like a lot of people think that, if you're bearish, you're going to get wrecked. Understand that when I'm bearish, I still hold most of my spot portfolio. I am mostly looking at this as I have been trading the downside, but it's mostly a hedge against the portfolio, making money to the downside, trading to the downside. It doesn't mean that I'm bearish on crypto as a whole. I'm very bullish on crypto. I fucking love crypto. But the thing is, there's a lot of people saying that, and I've seen this in, I've got several comments in both YouTube videos, Twitter posts, everything. People saying that, why would the big players ever allow us to get these entries down here? There's no way they're going to let that happen. The thing is, guys, when I'm looking through Twitter posts and social media in general, most people are max allocated already. Most people are all in. I see influencers saying they're all in. I see regular people on Twitter saying they're all in. Everybody's all in, expecting an easy ride into all-time highs. So in my opinion, that Max Payne situation would be if we get that gift of those low prices and people actually can't buy that dip. That is what max pain is, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying we have to drop to these levels. I've just outlined that in several videos, why the structure is there, that it could happen. And yeah, that just hasn't changed yet. But on the weekly chart here, I mean, you can see everybody's getting so bullish. And yeah, you know what? This weekly candle closes tomorrow. Tomorrow, about an hour and a half later than we currently are, whatever your local time is. If this green candle turns into an engulfing candle, I will give a strong case to the bulls that they're looking hungry. They still haven't broke this lower high on the weekly, but you know, it would at least be something, in my opinion, that would look strong. As it looks right now, if this candle closed green like this, I don't care what color it is. What I do care is that we're in a downtrend. It's labeled here very clearly. We're setting lower lows and lower highs, and that structure is still to the downside. And this candle at this point, to me, it looks more like indecision than anything in a downtrend. So yeah, it could absolutely reverse, but I'm not gonna trade, you know, every time that we came up to these lower high levels, it was the same thing, right? Well, what if we break out? Yeah, well, what if we do? At that point, we can change our opinion and start trading the other direction. That's totally fine. Make no mistake, if we break out to the upside, I'm still holding most of my spot portfolio. So I don't care that I sold 15% of it when I was buying down below 20K. And people were telling me I was crazy, thinking that, you know, thinking that the bottom was in, and oh no, we're going way lower, just like this time we're going way higher, right? In fact, some of the exact same people having those arguments. So that's interesting. But that being said, guys, at the end of the day, we just still have a series of lower highs, lower lows that has not broken yet. If we break above this lower high at about 70K, yep, I'm going to be changing the direction I trade. But as it stands, like I said, very bullish on crypto as a whole. I'm just very open to the idea of potential downside. So here's the difference. What is your plan B, right? That's all that matters, because the thing is, you guys, I can be trading the market bearishly and you could be trading it bullishly. We can both be making money. We can both lose money, right? That's the thing. At the end of the day, being able to react is so much more important than being able to predict, because execution is everything. Theories are great, but putting them into practice is where it actually is. So people that are extremely bullish, well, how many of you guys actually got into a decent long position on this? I'm not meaning you guys in general, just the retail in general who's excessively bullish. How many were actually taking longs down here and taking profits along the way, right? Whereas even though I'm bearish, I'm doing that because as a trader, just the bias, I don't care. It's just the trading money, looking at it as income. That's not my investments. That's my trading. So it's very different, right? So basically my reason for hedging a short here is just because, you know, we came up to that level that I talked about. You know, this was my long target because we had this structure here where, hey, you know what? We set that low, lower low, lower high. Even when I bring up the indicator here, I'll bring up the auto charting tools. It also printed a lower high signal here. And you know, I love pulling Fibonacci's from that level, even on shorter time frames. So on the 4 hour, I felt like, you know, I got to do this. I got to at least put something in here as far as some sort of a hedge, because if we get rejected and my entire long, or the rest of my long, the thing is too, right? I said that we got to my target here. I only have about 10% of my long running. So if we break out, yeah, it's going to be a smaller position, but that's how trading works, right? Taking profits at take profit levels, leaving some run just in case it ends up taking off. You know what? If Bitcoin ends up hitting $100,000 this next week or something like that, well, then at least I have this long position in down here. But if I did not take a hedge short at this level, and we end up going and stopping out the rest of my long, now I have to FOMO into some sort of a short if I'm bearish when I could have got in at a much better level. Yeah, there's nothing saying that this short is going to play out. Not every trade setup works out that way. But at least, you know, it is an insurance short, if nothing else, right? Because my bearish, or my bias, is still bearish. Like I said, open to the idea of a move up towards 65.5 if we do end up breaking this resistance. But we just still have so many different resistance levels. You know, we have this Stuber fib, we have this lower high level, we have my macro Stuber fib, we have my macro lower high. There's so much resistance up ahead. So be careful at these levels, I guess, right? Everyone has their own trading strategies. Obviously, this isn't financial advice. Do your own research, form your own opinions, because we could have the same indicators, the same trend lines, absolutely everything, and I guarantee we trade the market completely different. So that's definitely something that you got to consider. Do what kind of trade setups work for you. But this is just how I'm looking at the market, because I'm just seeing so much celebration when nothing has actually changed in the charts yet. The only thing that happened is people are celebrating late because, here was the dip to be long in, and now people are longing into resistance again. It could play out, but look how it went the last few times on these big swings, right? Every time we come back up, these red pockets are 786, 886 fibs of the ranges as they appear. Every time we got in there, we've had rejections. So yeah, trends break eventually. Eventually that lower high trend is going to break, and I'm going to be a moon boy again. Can't wait. The only thing is that structure just isn't there yet. So I just can't do it quite yet. I did notice on the liquidations that there is still some liquidity to the upside. Notice that it ends in that 886 or 786, 886 fib pocket up there. Basically the last bit of liquidity there around 66.8K. And there's significantly more to the downside. So the market maker, he may want to end up pushing the price down there, and that would actually be back down around 53K. Does it have to happen? Absolutely not. But there's signs there that it could, and it would make sense, right? With the ALGO master indicator, this is something I pointed out the other day on the 4-hour, is that we had a series. We had lower buy signals and lower sell signals. To be fair, we have printed a higher buy signal. So that is a warning that, once again, as I was talking about, there is signs of strength from the bulls. And, that's a big one right there. The sell signal still to the downside. So there is conflicting signals there right now. So there's not an obvious trend using that indicator right now. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens at this level here. Going to have to see. I'm going to be out of town shortly here, but yeah, I'll definitely still be watching on the mobile device or whatever. Weekly chart. I know I've pointed this out before. I think in my last stream that we also have the sell signal on the weekly chart. Now, obviously, doesn't have to play out every single time. There has been once where it hasn't in Bitcoin's history. Every other time, those sell signals have ended up pushing the price down to the macro 786, 886 fib pocket. This is the logarithmic scale, so if the fibs look weird, that's why, obviously, so that you can fit more in. But notice that whenever we got these sell signals, it ended up pushing the price approximately 50% to the downside, right into that Fibonacci pocket. And as it stands right now, we have that sell signal, and that fib, way before ever noticing this signal here, you guys know that I've been talking about the possibilities that we end up coming down to this 786, 886, which unfortunately is all the way down at 28 to 22K. I still feel like it doesn't feel probable, but it is possible. And if you ever think that it can't do that, Bitcoin can't go that low ever again, no, we can't see a 50% drop, that's basically saying that this is your first market cycle, and that's totally fine because we all go through it. But anybody who's been through more than one entire market cycle knows that Bitcoin can definitely push lower than a 30% retrace or whatever we've got so far. Yes, there's bigger players in the space. Yes, this market cycle feels different. I got news for you about that. This market cycle was different than this market cycle, which was different than this market cycle, which was different from this market cycle, which is different from this market cycle. Every single market cycle, there is much larger players getting involved. So yes, I understand that BlackRock's involved. I understand there's ETFs, but everyone had the exact same opinion about hedge funds and stuff like that last cycle. It was the smallest bull market in history, right? And that's very normal. It was obviously the biggest dollar amount bull run in history, but the percentages were significantly smaller than the previous ones because it takes way more money to move an asset when it's got a way higher market cap, and the market cap is way higher once again. So it's going to take exponentially more money to move the price the same amount. So you actually need that new wall of money, as they like to call it. You need those way bigger players getting in the space to even have a similar market cycle, even to have a smaller market cycle. You still need you just need those significantly larger players every market cycle to have any sort of a bull market. So I understand it feels like this market cycle should be different. The last market cycle also felt different. It always does. So yes, if the charts decide that's going to be the thing, because here's the thing, guys. If we break my lower high, even on the 4 hour, that 70K, if we break that on the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly, I am going to take that as a bullish sign. And at that point, if the market continues trending to the upside, setting higher highs and confirming higher lows, I'll be bullish until that changes. Just like back here, right? I mean, we've been technically in this downtrend since March or April. We've been in a downtrend for 7 or 8 months now. People don't realize just the significance of that. But this whole trade action here started back in March. And we've just been setting lower lows and lower highs. That hasn't broke even on the 4 hour. So that's, something worth mentioning here. So yeah, if that changes, then just like right now, right? I'm looking at it bearishly because that structure hasn't broke. So there's no reason for me to change my opinion yet. If we break out to the upside, I'm going to feel the same way to the upside. It's going to be, there's no reason for me to flip bearish until we at least lose some sort of a higher low support. Until that happens, I'm going to be a full-on moon boy. So just understand that side of things, right? It's not necessarily about predicting what's going to happen and what levels exactly it's going to hit and all that sort of thing. Like I said earlier, reacting over predicting any day. If you're looking for trading, at least. I mean, obviously investing and trading are two very different things, but as far as trading goes, I mean, you just have to be able to react to charts and how the structure changes and that sort of thing. So that's kind of my 2 cents about that. I will watch the 1 minute for a little bit. Like I said, I actually have somewhere else I got to be here very shortly. So this is just going to be a shorter stream, not going to be the full on 2 hour stream like normal. Oh, Sam, long time no see. Sorry, I'm just, I wasn't even watching I just wanted to get all my stuff out of the way here now that I'm going to start babysitting the 1 minute for a little bit here. I'm going to get some tunes going. As always, let me know if they start to annoy you, if they're too loud, anything like that. I'm going to catch up on some questions and all that sort of stuff. I'm not really going to go into any altcoins today just because I got to get to the airport right away. But other than that, yeah, how's everyone doing? Most importantly here. I'm glad to have you all here. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, we have 79 people here. Love to see it. And guys, understand that even though I'm bearish, I'm not a perma bear. I know some of you, I know damn well some of you are going to find that humorous because you know that I've been a perma bear for months now. But you guys also remember me from being my moon boy self for about 1.5 years or whatever it was. So it's just how the chart is right now. I can't change that opinion right now. And especially while we're, struggling under the 786 here of this fib pull, I just can't get bullish quite yet. That being said, I want to check a few other things. I did notice that the 1 minute was setting a series of higher buy and sell signals. So there is that short-term strength showing. So this is actually working against my position right now. Well, at least this hedge, it's working great for my long position, obviously. But I always go structure first. And after that, I look at, the opinion of indicators and stuff like that. And since I'm looking at this as more of a 4 hour setup, I'm looking at that as outweighing the 1 minute. And again, since it's a hedge, it's more of an insurance play than anything, right? But yeah, just notice as soon as we started getting those higher sell signals and then higher buy signals, beautiful entries, right? I mean, if you're looking for scalping, and obviously on different time frames, I kind of look at the same thing. But as far as scalping the 1 minute, I mean, absolutely beautiful entry. Just helping you kind of point out which way you should maybe be scalping the market. Obviously do what works for you, but that's kind of how I use these indicators, as just to kind of help give me that confluence of, hey, the market is obviously trending this direction. Yes, I know it always looks obvious when you zoom out, But having the signals like this really draw your attention to it and really helping confirm that that's what the trend is doing, it can be very helpful. So now, like, what I would love to see is if all of a sudden we set a lower buy signal and then a lower sell signal. Like, that doesn't have to happen right away. We'll probably sell. Well, I guess it would be probably some sort of a sell signal soon, and then we're gonna have to see what the buy signal ends up doing. If it ends up being higher, hey, maybe that's a good scalp opportunity for the long side. I'm not gonna take it because I'm already in that long from 59K. But yeah, I would love to see these flip to the downside relatively soon. Let me just get some tunes going. And actually, guys, I know a lot of you guys have seen me use these indicators quite often and how I love to, look at just a handful of them. I really only use a small handful, right? I use about 4 of them. And there is, well, a whole slew of these indicators here. The MDX Algo, absolutely wonderful indicators. I've been using them religiously every single day for, I think over 2 years now. It's either over 1 or over 2. I can't remember. I can barely remember what happened yesterday. How am I supposed to remember what year I started using these? But if these MDX Algo indicators do interest you, there's a link down below that gives an additional 10% discount on top of current promotions at the MDX Algo checkout. Again, easily my favorite indicators on TradingView. So if that's something that interests you, there is that link down below for that. With that, let's get just some chill tunes going here for a little bit. Again, let me know if they're too loud, too quiet, anything like that. And I will start catching up on some chats. I see a bunch of the MDX Algo army in here. The Leggies. Welcome, welcome. Love to see you guys here. And thank you so much, everybody who is here with me. I love doing these streams with you. I love going through my opinions and having second opinions. I don't need to be in an echo chamber. You don't have to agree with me at all. We're just here having a good time looking at charts together. Like I said, we can be looking at the charts the exact opposite and we can still be profitable. We can look at the charts the exact same and we can both be losing. We can look at them the opposite and both be losing. Like I said earlier, all that really matters at the end of the day is execution on those predictions, right? Ooh, epic. I like the sounds of this. Oh yeah, that's got some degen vibes. Sort of a small RSI divergence on the 1 hour. It might look, I don't want to have to reset up my RSI. I took that off most of my charts. I only really use it on the weekly lately. Come on, folks, click the like and share. Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it there, Rob. Yeah, if you guys appreciate my take on the market, kind of looking at my trading strategies, how I use Fibonacci's, how I use structure, how I use the indicators, do me a favor, hit that like, subscribe to this channel. As well, I do have my own YouTube channel. My socials should be down in the description. But yeah, be sure that you are subscribed to this channel because yeah, I do most of my live streams here now. All the random last minute, oh, shit's volatile. I'm going to go talk about what I'm seeing. Chaos, welcome back to another episode. Looks like bullish crossovers coming. Not sure why this is titled Major Drop. Yeah, that just, like I said, it does look like it's bullish, but those are just those red flags that we are approaching resistance levels now. That's why I'm saying potential large drop, because I am still expecting a much larger drop on the longer time frames. Doesn't have to happen. That's totally fine. If it doesn't, I'm okay to switch my bias as well. When that structure breaks, right? I don't like trading based on, well, it looks like this is going to happen. Yeah, when Trump was speaking at that Bitcoin conference and we were flying up towards all-time highs, it looked very bullish and it was going to cross over at that point as well. and it was the perfect sell the news. FOMO got trapped once again. So that's all. It's a level to be cautious, right? Because at the end of the day, with this structure, yeah, it looks strong as we're trading into resistance. It always does. Bitcoin always looks strongest as it's approaching resistance, and it always looks the weakest as it's approaching support. So just understand that my typical Stuber fib strategy that I'm always talking about on this channel, as well as my own, my Stuber fib strategy, this is just a valid setup. I would trade it on the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the weekly. And we've been seeing it on all of them. Yes, it doesn't play out every time, but it's a much tighter invalidation to be laddering in at these levels for a short and getting invalidated above my 115. A lot tighter invalidation than whoever was trying to break out trade that short, right? So structure break, looking for that pullback. The pullback always looks very strong. And then that's where I'm looking for, if this downtrend is going to continue, this would be a very juicy short opportunity. Whereas if it breaks out, it's a very minimal loss. So it's just about, every trader is going to lose trades. It's all about controlling those losses. You know, and that is one good thing there, Curry. Hopefully I'm saying that right. The options traders for MicroStrategy think Bitcoin is going up. Yeah, you know what? That is one thing that I have been keeping an eye on lately, is MicroStrategy smashed all-time highs. Was it yesterday? It's still in fake out territory with my fibs. It hasn't broke the 115 fib, which is right around 215. I'm not going to bring it up right now, but I could talk about that in my next video. I'm just limited on time here. But yeah, that is definitely something that could turn the tide a little bit, right? And that's the thing, right? Is I generally ignore every fundamental, every piece of news, every speech. I ignore everything and I let the charts do the talking. If I'm aware that those things are happening, and yes, if MicroStrategy is bullish, then Bitcoin's going to be bullish as well. It's worth considering, but I'm not going to trade that until the chart says so. And again, keep in mind, right? As bearish as I am, remember, I am long from down here. Okay, I'm long from 59,000. Well, I said $47. It's actually $59,046.90. US. That is my entry on my long position. I'm only in about 10% of it still because we hit my target, but I am long. So understand that this short is a hedge, and I am bearish, but I'm still willing to trade the charts either direction. And I think that's an important skill to have as a trader, is set your emotions aside and just trade what is there, right? It's very possible I lose on this short. That's fine. The long will take care of it. Because as traders, what we really want to do is, I mean, the market doesn't give a shit about our opinions. At the end of the day, I don't know if we're actually going to drop. Just like, someone with 1 million followers on Twitter has no idea if it's actually going to a bull market right away, or parabolic or parabola, whatever. Nobody knows for sure. And anybody, honestly, anybody who tells me that this is happening for sure, I immediately throw that person's opinion in the garbage. I don't care, because if you're not willing to consider that you're wrong, there's a good chance you're long. So often, the people with the least validation have the loudest opinion, kind of a thing, right? So, and not always, obviously, but just in general, if somebody, I take a lot more, how do you put it? I guess I take it a lot more serious if somebody's telling me, hey, I don't know for sure, but if this happens, this is how I'm going to react. If this happens, this is how I'm going to react, because that's how trading works. You have to be able to react to the price action, because predictions mean nothing if you don't react. So yeah, this was basically just protecting myself from either direction, right? We go down, great. My short's going to be juicy. If we continue going up, then I get stopped out of that hedge short, and the long continues running. This is a 69x long from down here. I'm sitting at like a 480% profit or something like that on that. Like I said, I closed 90% of it, but there is some running. Hurley, welcome. Made it live. Yeah, I did an early one because, like I said, I gotta get going fairly early here. Cause, welcome. Good to see you here. Like I said, Sam, super pumped to see you here. You haven't been in one of my streams in a while. Yeah. Cycle Flitter gets it. Trade the chart. Either way, let's go. And that's my opinion. Honestly, I'm bullish as hell on crypto, but I'll trade it to the downside. I love shorting, actually. Shorts, generally speaking, the bears love to move fast. If it's going to be a violent bearish move, I mean, they play out so fast. I love the volatility to the downside. 100x short on 64K. Ooh, ballsy. Love the attitude. I'm not going to do it, but I love the attitude. Stu's going to the head shed. Oh, I just got here from the shed. The D-Gen shack. Yeah, Sam's known me for years. Yeah, we've been on many of my streams. One of my earliest supporters. Appreciate you, brother. Perma bear. Yeah, I know I feel like a perma bear lately, and I'm sorry for that. I promise I'm not. Like I said, I'm in along. I have a bearish opinion, but I'll trade it whichever way. 61.5 by Monday? Oh, I'd love to see it. See, actually, and the reason why I said, you know, are we going back down to 60K is because if this Stuber fib play does play out, that would basically be my target. It basically front runs the opposite 786 because the 786 and the 886 are, you know, from the support side would be buy levels, just like I sold at the resistance levels. So basically looking for the opposite, right? Notice that 214 lines up just front running the 786 a little bit. So that's why I use that as a target. Doesn't have to be hit, like, but that's just how that, usually that's my scalping strategy. I like to use that on the 1 minute and the 5 minute, but you know, looking at it the same on the 4 hour. Basically, for this structure to change, we at least have to break this high here at 64, well, 450. And this is the BloFin chart, right? Every chart could vary slightly, so keep that in mind. But yeah, this wick up here, that's basically the confirmed lower high that I want to see taken out from a bullish perspective, just because this is our low, lower low, highest point between the two. That is my confirmed lower high. Oh, thanks for clearing that up, Sam. I started using MDX ALGO in 2022, so I was right. It has been 2 years. Thanks, brother. I should join a stream with Tone and Matt. Would be interesting. Yeah, honestly, the thing is with large groups of people in streams, everyone starts talking over each other, and it's almost hard to, because there's always like a little bit of a lag time, and everyone's trying to talk over each other and stuff. So with 3 people, it would get a little hectic, in my opinion. Someday I should join them for 1 or 2, but how big is my new short versus my long? They're actually the same size right now. Just because I'm basically just holding a buffer for now. If we start trending to the downside and I'm getting more confirmation that it is getting toppy, then I will actually be I'll be closing more of my long. Basically, if we lose this level here, I would be looking at closing more of my long, and then the short's going to take over. I maybe even consider adding to my short on some sort of a retest. Right now, I'm just kind of protected. What percent stop loss is typical on my trades at 69x? I really don't like a stop loss further than like 15%. Obviously, it like even with this short, I'm actually going to get stopped out on the rest if it just kind of basically goes above this structure here, even though it technically wouldn't necessarily be bullish, just because there's signs of strength there because we had our third touch point here, third rejection. If we break this, I'm just going to play it safe, cut my losses there, and let the long take over. So it's actually quite minor, right? Actually, I think this one is over 20%, but it's a smaller one to start anyways. But like my long that I took, I had such a tight invalidation, right? Because basically where I entered, I was going for a whole, this is either the bottom or it's, you know, invalidated if we drop the lows there, and then screw it, the short was going to take over, or continue running rather, the one that I had back then. But so we're testing that 786 again. I don't really like, from a bearish perspective, how we are testing it so much. I would rather just see a big rejection, but maybe that's just because, you know, this is the 4-hour chart where that fib is pulled from. So maybe it's just spending a little more time there on the 1 minute, but Chaos, I think I already answered your question. Not really any scalps right now, just that long and then this hedge short for now. Yeah, I would love to take a short from here, but damn, the daily is a tough one. Hanging around the 200 moving average daily for far too long. Yeah, you know, the daily. Yeah, like the thing is, the daily never got the candle body close below these wicks. The daily did close below the other candle bodies, but I personally like to see it close past the wicks. So yes, there is potential that, hey, this was just a liquidity grab. I'm going to carry on to the upside from here, kind of like a double bottom type of thing with a liquidity grab. Absolutely a possibility. What are some of the indicators saying on the daily, actually? We have a sell signal on the daily that just printed basically as we traded. You know, it's basically at that sell signal. The thing with that is, obviously, as I was talking about earlier, we do technically have higher sells and higher buys. It's very slightly, but it is. So there is that warning that, hey, maybe we continue. And like I said, honestly, we might. At the end of the day, I don't know if we're actually going down, you know, to my ridiculous bearish targets. I'm preparing for it. I hope it does, but that doesn't mean it's going to, because the market doesn't care about me. That's why I'm hedged long there from the other day. Don't listen to him, guys. He's been a bear from day one. He hates Bitcoin. Get him, guys. Oh, come on now. You know that ain't so. Ooh, gambled a short Sui. Hopefully I'm saying that right. You know what? I'll take a look at that one, because I've actually... That's one altcoin that I was spot accumulating. It is around resistance. It does look like it's gonna break out. Let me I can't remember. I'll probably MEXC is probably one of the earlier ones. Hey, yeah, Sui has I don't think I'd want to gamble on the short, to be honest. That's broken some very serious resistance. This is a daily chart. The one thing is, it doesn't have 3 touch points before that breakout, but on a longer time frame like a daily like this, I mean, the fact that I mean, there is an hour left until candle close, but ooh, that's looking bullish. I'm still, I think this one still looks good. It looks a hell of a lot better than Bitcoin does, in my opinion. I'd be scared to short that personally. I understand that it feels like it's overextended, but I just don't like to stand in front of a train. There's a lot of momentum there. Honestly, I've been tempted to start trading this one a little bit more. I think I'm going to start keeping my eye on it a little more now that I'm holding some. Because, yeah, I don't necessarily want to try and desperately catch that reversal, but I would consider even scalping this thing or just looking for some, even like a 4 hour, like right now, for example, just for a classic fib, you know, pull it the opposite, right? Just like with Bitcoin, that bearish fib pull that I had, you know, since we broke this structure level, I would love to see a pullback to my 786,886. Obviously, this is just predicting that this is how it's going to go. If the price keeps going up, I just have to chase the price, right? So that's basically, after a structure break like that, I would love to see some kind of a pullback. Also, another level to watch currently would be this order block down here. Would love to see us retest that, and if we start closing, you know, looking like we're finding support against that, I would be considering taking some longs on that guy. A lot of liquidity left for Sui below 2.2. Ooh, oh boy, look at all the liquidation levels. That would be that would be something, eh? If, big if, you know, those crazy Bitcoin predictions, those crazy bearish targets that I've had, big if any of that actually plays out. In that case, I would entertain the idea that there could be a crazy move to the downside on something like this. I'm just not willing to bet against it at this point is all. I'd rather play the trend myself. Higher sell signals, still higher buy signals, and this is on the 4 hour. Look at all these demand zones that this indicator is printing. Notice we have overlapping ones down here, so kind of down from like 178 down to 170. There's a lot of demand at that level. Notice that's the indicator printing these out on its own, right? So I don't even, sometimes I feel like I don't even have to chart anymore with these things. Yeah, higher highs, higher lows, higher buy signals, higher demand zones. It's got a pretty beefy trend there. I just like 3 exact touch points. But yeah, that's one thing. When I know not everyone likes playing diagonal trend lines. When I look for breakouts on that kind of a thing, I always like to see at least 3 rejection points before a breakout. And that's the one thing that is kind of leading me to feel like Bitcoin might have some fuel in the tank, because that's a 3rd rejection there, perfect touch point, and we're not seeing a harsh rejection yet. Obviously, this candle has an hour to go. If it closes above here, and it can actually flip this resistance into support, then yeah, I think we basically have a clear shot to 65.5. But if we either do get rejected here or even get some sort of a fake out and retest it, I think it's lights out. Down towards 60. MSTR options 75 to 80, calls expiration 2026, free money. Yeah, no kidding. What's it at right now? It's at like 200 US dollars, something like that. Yeah, retail jumping in heavier, over leveraged, right for the swipe when they flip the switch in reverse. Yeah, especially with those liquidation levels, I assume you were talking about. Yeah, exactly. That's people who are FOMOing in now and putting a bunch of leverage on it, FOMOing in. And don't get me wrong, like I said, I might be one of those people who does end up taking some longs, but the thing is, I take profits very quickly. I start to close positions and downsize them when I take them, because I am usually more of a scalper. But I just wanted to give kind of my more full-on outlook today. This chart, I don't have that 4-hour line. One sec. Just to keep tabs on the thing. If we do get a rejection here, again, big if, it does look like they're really trying to push through it. If we do see a rejection, another level that I'd be looking at, taking into consideration that we could be finding a bounce would be something like this. This is just grasping for some sort of an extended trend line. I'm more of a horizontal levels and Fibonacci's guy myself when I'm taking trades, but just something to consider that, even if we drop below this level here, might be a perfect setup to get some sort of a liquidity grab below this. So anyone with a stop that's too tight ends up getting stopped out. We find support on this range rather than the horizontal one, and everyone gets wrecked because it's a little liquidity grab just below, right? But a lot has to happen before we see that, obviously. This is a 4-hour, so if we do get rejected, it's going to take quite a while. If we break out of this and we close a candle body above this, I think the bulls could end up stepping in fairly aggressively. I'm just personally still not macro bullish for all the reasons that I pointed out earlier. And all Bitcoin has to do is break my lower high structure to get actually like full on bullish moon boy style. I need to break this trend that I've had outlined for months now. Nothing has changed there. I'm still willing to swing at longs, like I said, over and over. I am in a long from 59K. It's just that my personal bias is bearish. Anyways, guys, I actually got to get going to the airport here about 15 minutes ago, so I am going to leave you with that. Hopefully you guys did appreciate this live stream. Hopefully you appreciate my take on the markets, whether or not you agree with me, how I look at structure, how I look at Fibonacci's, that sort of thing, just looking at the charts together, whatever. If you appreciate it, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And like I said, if you are interested in some of these MDX ALGO indicators, there is that discount link down below that gives an additional 10% discount on top of current promotions at the MDX ALGO checkout. And like Sam said, I have been using them religiously for over 2 years now. So yeah, I don't really use any other indicators other than the RSI the odd time. But at the end of the day, I'm more of a structure guy myself. I like structure and Fibonacci's first. And then I really like helping myself point out the trend and stuff like that with the indicators. Just as a second opinion kind of a thing, as confirmation, added confluence, right? So anyways, my friends, I think that's about all I wanted to go over very quickly. You guys have a fantastic rest of your weekend. I got to get the heck out of here.